Falcon!
Time for another edition of anime and manga that make me happy, now rebranded as Falcon's Faves. If you're new to this video series, or even my channel, well, first off, welcome, and secondly, this video series is basically me gushing about anime and manga series that I really love or have some sort of special emotion or memory attached to. They're not necessarily recommendations or reviews for the series I talk about, but more so the reasoning behind why each of these series holds some special place in my heart. Normally in these videos I talk about 2 anime series and 2 manga series, but for this edition I decided to start off with the manga, and kicking things off we have Gokushufudo, The Way of the House Husband. I've actually done a recommendation for this manga a long time ago, however that got copyright striked and taken down, so hopefully that doesn't happen here. But Gokushufudo is a series I followed since it only had 1 chapter online, but after that chapter I immediately had a feeling the series was going to bloom into something special, and it most certainly did. The manga has sold very well, won an Eisner Award for Best Humor Publication, received a live-action TV series, which I still need to watch, which is also getting its own spin-off series, as well as an anime, which disappointed quite a lot of people. But we're not going to focus on that here since these videos are meant to be positive and we're talking strictly about the manga here. The whole plot behind this series is actually what got me into it. Tatsu, a once legendary Yakuza thug, one day leaves that life behind him to live a somewhat peaceful life as a house husband. However, you can take the man out of the Yakuza, but never take the Yakuza out of the man, as even with the most basic household tasks, Tatsu handles like a hardcore criminal, which is prone to many misunderstandings around the neighborhood, whether it be packing food for his wife like he's packing drugs for a big deal, talking to his new home appliances like he's recruiting them into his gang, as well as just making yoga seem like the most demonic thing imaginable. Right off the bat, the series totally had me with its comedy. As I've mentioned plenty of times in the past, I am a huge fan of comedy series involving big tough guys put in complete opposite scenarios. I don't know man, the contrast just gets me every time, and this series pretty much thrives on that gimmick. Which you think would get old over time, but the manga has done an incredible job in making it still feel fresh and funny 70 plus chapters later. There's just one particular chapter in the series that I always think about every now and then, and it never fails to make me laugh. Basically, Tatsu takes a dog out for a walk and then comes across another tough looking guy doing the same, and they both will look at each other, and by the looks of their faces you'd expect a fight to break out. But as it turns out, they're essentially both like, hey, your dog looks super cute, mind if I pet it? And they just hang out for the rest of the day. I'm telling you guys, this manga is just solid gold. While that's great, there's still more to this series than just Tatsu's house husband antics. Every now and then we get to see the person that made him leave his criminal life in the first place, his wife Miku, who for a while all we know is a designer and a big fan of a Precure-like series. We still don't know a whole lot about her, as well as how her relationship started with Tatsu, but every now and then we get these really great chapters of them just doing married couple things, and it's honestly very adorable. They may seem like an odd couple at first, but they really do care for one another and quite literally can pick each other up when the other is feeling down, adding more to the heart of this manga. Every chapter of the series never fails to make me smile as well as brighten up my day, and it's always great seeing a series with very humble beginnings become very successful and popular. And of course, I just really love this series' overall positive message and just sticking it to gender norms. Tatsu is pretty much unaware of how his lifestyle may seem odd to many people, but even if he did, I don't think he'd care at all. Living life like a true Chad. However, now let's transition from super tough house husbands to super thick housewives with Okusan. Okusan is a manga I've been following since high school, which, like, oh boy, considering how much other manga I've experienced since then, really trips me out at times. Now, looking at this series at first, it's pretty easy to see why it would attract a young high schooler fresh into manga, but honestly the series isn't as perverted as you'd think based off those covers. Or at least, not as perverted. You see, Okusan is one of those wholesome lewd series. The type to warm your heart and a few other special places. Very much like Way of the House Husband, this manga follows the adventures of someone just doing their best to take over their home and spouse, only replace the badass ex-yakuza prone to misunderstandings with a very cute and thick lady, so thick she is constantly either knocking people out or getting stuck due to her divine thickness, and believe it or not, she gets even thicker, baby! Extra thick! Thickness aside though, this is a really calming and funny little manga that I've been following for years, and every chapter is just a fun, positive pick-me-up with a bit of a naughtier edge. However, due to its relaxed story and infrequent updates, it's a series that at times kind of falls back in my mind till a new chapter pops up. That is, until more recent developments in the manga that really got me more engaged with the series. One of them being the reveal that this series is in a shared universe with the mangaka's other series featuring thick women, the Ashitaba family, which isn't quite as good as Okusan in my opinion, but I'm all for this thick verse, baby. However, the bigger recent development is our main couple here are finally having a baby, leveling up our main gal here from thick wife to thick MILF. Which might seem like a slight spoiler to some if you care about spoilers with a manga like this, but considering how much lovemaking that goes on in this manga, I'm kinda surprised it took this long to happen. And while it might seem a little silly at first, but considering how long I've been following the series and its characters, upon seeing that reveal for the very first time, it legitimately made me a bit emotional, almost as if it was an announcement that came from some close friends of mine. Yes, clearly I need to get out more. To which it then hit me that I'm at the age now where having friends get married and have kids is soon going to be the norm, and like, oh my god, dude. It feels both like yesterday as well as so long ago when I was just like 18. Where does the time go? And considering the last volume of this video series section about Mahoro Romantic, I'm more and more surprised in how these little ecchi series are somehow able to invoke all these kinds of thoughts and emotions into me. Like, that's just not normal. Regardless, I still love this series and I'm waiting to see how everything plays out. But now we're going to transition over to the anime portion of this video, leaving all that marital stuff behind us in favor of heart-pumping action. Starting off, we have Riding Bean, which if you've been with me on my channel for a while now, then you know I love both this OVA as well as the series that eventually span off to, Gunsmith Cats. Honestly, I feel like they're some of the best action series you'll find in anime and manga that, while popular back in the day, are unfortunately super underrated today, which is a total shame. If you're someone that's known me personally for long enough and I know you're into anime, I'd eventually either bring up this OVA or just straight up sit you down and make you watch it with me. It's probably one of my most rewatched OVAs for that very reason, but like, I can't help it. Riding Bean is the perfect burst of adrenaline in animated form. Sure, a lot of people say the same for Red Line, which is also fantastic and super hype, but it's still a movie that's an hour and 42 minutes long. Meanwhile, Riding Bean quite literally speedruns the hype, with it being like 45 minutes long. Basically, Riding Bean is a super condensed and efficient 80s action movie in anime form. All gas, no filler. The OVA has such a great vibe, and the music here by Phil Perry is absolutely killer. You have so many fun car chases, and while there isn't as many shootouts as you'd expect from this OVA, when we do get them, they're super impactful. And finally, we have the whole ending set piece in the garage, which for real is iconic. I'm willing to say it's one of the most badass action scenes in anime, and you can fight me on that. I actually wound up showing this OVA to my anime club back in university. We used to have these sort of anime movie days every now and then, where we'll just book a room and watch like 2 or 3 movies, and on one of those days, while sort of waiting for more members to arrive, I decided to show Riding Bean, and at first some people were like, oh, Falcon, this OVA looks a little old. To which I responded with, shut the hell up, you're gonna like it. Okay, well, not really, but still, they wound up enjoying it, and I mean, like, how can you not? Look at this man. Look at this action. It's so good. Very much like the last entry of this video, another action-packed OVA I will endlessly recommend, Mazen Kaiser SKL. Now, there is a lot of badass mecha OVAs out there, but this might be among my faves. I might be a bit biased with this one due to my love for both Mazinger and Go Nagai, as well as the fact that this was like my first badass mecha OVA. But SKL kicks all kinds of ass. It's easily the most metal anime you'll ever see, from the opening to the setting, action, characters, even the mechs themselves. This OVA is metal as fuck. I've always loved the Mazinger line of super robots, but Mazen Kaiser SKL is just such a badass design. This looks like a mech straight out of hell. And I love its fighting style, either fighting as an elite gunslinger, which by the way, I love the hell out of the scene, or just a badass swordsman. I have loads of memories of having friends come over for bro nights, and of course when it comes to watching anime with your bros, Mazen Kaiser SKL is definitely a top tier choice. It's a super awesome super robot action extravaganza, and you owe it to yourself to watch it if you haven't. Even if you've already seen it, you owe it to yourself to watch it again. Mazen Kaiser SKL just kicks ass. And that's where we'll leave it off for this volume. Always a pleasure making these videos, and if you like them too, or like videos on underrated anime, manga, and tokusatsu and want to support both me and my channel, then feel free to check out either my Ko-fi or Patreon page. It'll mean a lot, and special thanks to my current patrons. As always, I am Mr. FalconPunch, stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.